Hello and welcome to the latest Chinese cartoon where I, T-Mac, review all the new maps all the time, playable on Mythical Gaming, that's Mythical Gaming. Link in the description. So if you haven't already checked out my Treehouse map pack review for all the deets on why I'm splitting this video into 3 parts, then the link will be in the description, and in that little eye in the top right corner, and in the end card at the end of the video. But the too long didn't watch is that there are over 20 maps that came out this week, and that much reviewage in one single dose is likely to leave you paralyzed from the cock down. So, without any further ado, the first non-map pack map to come out this week was bhop_greenwood, and it's a map that was created by Cutler, and this appears to be his first map. The map has a dingy, dimly lit greenish-brown aesthetic to it, which would probably feel a little bit creepy if it weren't so cluttered heavily with standard square blocks. The big issue with this one is the gameplay. There isn't really any obstacles, and the map sort of starts to feel really repetitive very quickly. But this is Cutler's first map, and the layout and pathways are all winding, which is good, and the elevated blocks and ramps towards the end are mildly enjoyable. So this one took me just over 16 seconds to beat and gets a 4 out of 11. It's a pretty standard first-timers map, but it's a good effort nonetheless. So the second map to come out this week was bhop_mult, created by Antosha, and the aesthetic of this map alone gets it a recommendation from me. There is a certain nostalgic air about the map that I can't quite put my finger on, but it's very reminiscent of an old claymation-style cartoon. The colors are all incredibly vibrant and expertly done, and from the way that the trees and the ponds are shaped to the warm orange and green tones used, this map has a style that is really something else. Unfortunately, the map is fairly short and took me just under 18 seconds to beat. But despite how short it is, the layout is great for finding small optimizations, and the boosters definitely increase the skill ceiling, allowing for some good jump cuts, which is really good. Pretty much everything about the map is really good, aside from the length, and that there weren't any really unique or overly interesting obstacles. Either way, the aesthetic alone would make this map worth a play, so good job to Antosha. This one almost got a 9, but it gets an 8 out of 11. So that brings us to the third map to come out this week, which was bhop_skyhops, created by first-time mapper Pax Play. So the visuals on this map are pretty bad. The skybox is nice, but the black blocks clash with the brightness heavily, making the map a little bit blinding to run through. Luckily, the gameplay is decent, the block layouts are good, and there are some mildly interesting obstacles. Though, I will be upfront in saying the tellies didn't work the greatest for me, though that is likely a server issue as opposed to a map issue, and because of this I was forced to pre-speed some stages instead of keeping my speed through the tellies. My time is pretty bad, assuming it wasn't the map's issue, so that said, the map took me a little under 40 seconds to beat, and there are some good optimizations that can be hit, assuming speed can be kept. Overall, I think the map is decent, especially for a first-time mapper, even though all the blocks are pretty much squares, and obviously the aesthetic issues. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one a light 6 out of 11. And that leads us to bhop_snowday, with a K, Sknowday, which was yet another first-time mapper's map created by Sknow, or Snow, with a K again, and the map's visuals are very old looking and aren't too visually appealing, though I wouldn't necessarily call them bad either. As for gameplay, the map is made up of 3 stages, the first being made up of very simple blocks with the odd pillar, and the second stage also being made up of simple blocks with an addition of pegs and an extra pillar. And the final stage is an all-around-the-pillars event that I don't think anyone will even try to do because you can literally just long jump and cheat 80% of the last stage. So the layout is okay, but fairly boring, and making it so that you boost up and around instead of actually going through tellies is kind of a cool addition, which I liked. So this one gets a solid 5 out of 11, and good effort, and then we move along to map number 5, bhop_Sven A, created by Sven, aka Kazman522, and this is the first map to be in a series of several small strafe maps, I'm assuming. So the color scheme and textures are all fairly okay, as is the theme of the map. It's pretty rare that people play the maps for the theme, so I'm just going to hop right into the gameplay. The crates are all set up well, and it's interesting to jump to the finish on top of the main wall. It's also neat that there's a skip that can be utilized towards the end by jumping on the rafter and then onto the sign, which I was able to do thanks to Jydus' run that he uploaded on his channel, so props to him for that. Unfortunately, the map is very short, took me under 11.5 seconds, though Matan's hit a run getting around 10, so good job to him. Overall, I think it's worth checking out if you're into strafe maps. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7 out of 11, so good job to Sven, and thanks for mentioning me at the end, along with a whole bunch of other members of the community. So, bhop_swag_final is a map that was created by Roger, haha lol, and was ported to CSGO by Gamebanana. This map, much like many of Roger's maps, is very aesthetically pleasing. From the lava and pillars to the blue-lit cave and the grassy islands, this map feels like a real adventure, and the block layout is unique and interesting. There are plenty of jump cuts and skips, all sorts of optimizations that can be really useful for route building. The obstacles are unique, all the themes are fun, and overall the map is really well rounded, though a touch confusing on your first run through, since it can be easy to end up going back the way that you came, since the boosters aren't really distinct from regular blocks, making it easy to just shoot past them and back into the previous area. That said, everything else about the map is great, and it took me about 1 minute and 30 seconds, but if you want to see a run of the map with all sorts of skips that I'm either not good enough to hit or didn't have enough time to record, then check out SK's run on Source Jump, because it was pretty crazy. This map is worth the play, and it's going to get a strong 9 out of 11. Would have gotten a 10 if the boosters were a little bit easier to distinguish, but I digress. Good job to Roger and to Gamebanana for the port, and map number 7 was Mampu's bhop_tehoputki. Hope I said that right. Ported once again by Gamebanana, this map is a moderate to short strafe map with a tribal Mayan temple theme, which is cool, and the visuals and color scheme are all great all the way around, whether indoors or outdoors, and even though one of the room is pretty much pitch black all the way around, the way that Mampu uses the darkness to highlight the key features of the map, like the campfire and the rocks and the tree, that was pretty cool. So, as for the gameplay, the map is moderate to short in terms of length, and is a strafe map with a few interesting obstacles, changes in elevation, and a lot of really good options for route building and optimization. On my short list of issues with the map, the blocks are a bit square heavy, and for some reason you can't jump on the rocks, but you can hit the pole, and that's just a bit inconsistent in my opinion. Regardless, the map is a solid, fun, 30-second strafe map, and I think that it managed to eke out a 9 out of 11. A light 9. So good job to Mampu for the map and to Gamebanana for the port. But we gotta keep this ball rolling, so bhop_speedbub2 is an older map created by the founder of Canada, which he has just now uploaded to Gamebanana. Aesthetically, the map isn't really to my taste. A lot of it feels too dimly lit, and the purpley pink crystals tend to clash with the old style textures of the map. If you played Founder's previous Gamebanana upload, then this part might seem familiar as well. So, gameplay-wise, the layout is good at times, and it's just okay at other parts, which is a net positive, so that's a thing. There are also oftentimes jump cuts or outright skips that save you a bunch of time on your runs, and the map is certainly unique in its use of obstacles, at least when it isn't reusing parts of previous maps. Or, I guess, maybe this was the first map. Either way, it's good and worth a play if you like something you saw here. So, it took me a little under 1 minute and 10 seconds to beat, and I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 7.5, then take away the 0.5 because that's against the rules. So, good job to Founder, and off to the 9th map of the week. bhop_gad, G-A-D, was a map created by Morskoy Gad, and this map was ported by Saucin_Ballin_Rollin. So, this map uses dev textures and a soft blue, yellow, and red color palette throughout, which is okay, but a tad on the boring side. As for the gameplay, this one is advertised as a beginner map, and it is loaded with simple basic obstacles that are important for beginners to learn, which is good. But again, most of the block types are just squares on the floor, with several of the early checkpoints having no obstacles whatsoever. Having noted that, the layout is clean and fun to run, despite the only real obstacles being stuff that we've already seen before many times, like walls that you jump around. The climb at the end was interesting and fun, and I think this would be a good moderately lengthy Tier 2 map to give a newer player who enjoys the challenge. The map took me about 45.5 seconds, and it will get a flat 7 out of 11, so good job to both of you, and next bhop_velstand was created by Aurum and was ported by Wiiu, Wiuuuh, and the map is visually appealing and the colors all work nicely together. The portal walls go well with the graded black metal pattern blocks that are rimmed with different colors representing the current level. Getting into the gameplay, it's definitely up to the quality standard that Aurum tends to set with all of his maps. Solid, entertaining, great block layout, good use of scenery, keeping it minimalistic and subtle, but still good. And much like Aurum's other maps, this is a moderately short strafe map with some interesting block shapes, and uses climb and drop downs to create an addicting map that makes me want to come back and check it out again soon. The only issue that I had is that the tellies aren't well defined. I don't like jumping through walls, but that's not too big a deal. If you want to see this map done fast, then I'll guide you over to Concept's channel, link in the description. He puts up some really great runs fairly often, so check that out for sure. Overall, I think this map is well constructed. It took me about 38.5-ish seconds, so good job to Aurum for the map and to Wiiu for the port. It's gonna get a firm 9.0 out of 11. Jumping forward to map number 11, bhop_mood wasn't working at all, but it did get an update after the 3 AM EST deadline on Friday, so it will be featured in next week's map review. So the real map 11 is bhop_sandtrap, created by Arctic Panda and ported by Gamebanana. And once again, this is a fly surf-esque Arctic Panda map, but this time it is going with a desert temple theme. So the map is styled similarly to a big open surf map, which makes you feel really small in comparison, like you're exploring a world created by giants, which is neat. As for the gameplay, the map is big and wide open so you can strafe with the wind, and it has speed booster arrows on the ground to make you go fast with an E on the end of that, and the layout is certainly scenic and interesting with lots of winding paths. Though in terms of obstacles or challenges, there isn't really too much, and it was a bit of an issue for me, since the only time that you'll ever really need to restart is if you clip a wall or get a ramp glitch. But that's pretty much all there is to complain about on this one. The map focuses more on finding subtle ways to improve and optimize your route. The map took me about 43.5 seconds to beat, though better is obviously possible, and you can watch Noodles get a 37.9 second run on his channel, link in the description. I think this is a good map, so good job to Arctic Panda and to Gamebanana for the port. It's gonna go ahead and get a very light 9 out of 11. And now, we are finally at the final map of the week. Sorry, Jeff the Pickle, your map missed the deadline by just a couple of minutes, and if I weren't so bogged down with maps already this week, then I would have included your map. But bhop_so_basic was created by Sapphire, and it is the first map ever by him, so in terms of visuals, this map is very tile-centric, nothing out of the ordinary, sticking with many shades of gray as a color scheme. Though I must say that the water textures used are very interesting and really stood out in terms of visuals. But in terms of gameplay, the map is fairly simple, 4 stages with common square blocks that get progressively harder, but still stays very easy throughout. The map would probably be a good practice map for newer bhoppers that are learning the basics, and it isn't terrible as a strafe map, as the blocks do get a little bit climby towards the end. That said, the map doesn't really have any obstacles or anything special going for it. The map took me about 28 seconds, but I'll direct you to Jydus' channel for a much cleaner run of the map. I think this was a good first effort, and it gets a light 5 out of 11. That is all that I have for you this week, so make sure to leave a like if you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, then share this video with people that you think might enjoy the content. Also, check me out on Twitter at TMacDagoon and on my gaming channel TMax Dungeon Games for more content and updates and shit. Speaking of, make sure to click that notification bell so that you know when my alt map pack review comes out. It should be sometime on Saturday, but I'm not making promises. Finally, have some spare cash that you don't know what to do with? Donate it to me through PayPal, because I know what to do with it. And the link is in the description for literally everything, and that's all the time that I have for you for this week. So I'll see ya. In fact, I'm seeing you right now.
Here's Johnny!